Welcome everyone to the L7C podcast, My Hero Academia edition. Today we have a very special episode for you guys. We're going to be talking some My Hero Academia, but we're also going to do a little tournament. This month, a day of recording, is Women's History Month, so we are going to do a little tournament of the teenagers, of people and the students of My Hero Academia, not the adults. Do a little tournament there since in honor of March Madness as well. See who comes out on top. We have the My Hero enthusiast with us, Miss Andrea Alaniz. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Overcame a cold this weekend, so my apologies anybody that can hear the congestion in my voice. But I am ready to talk some My Hero. I was starting to get a little bit of uh I guess podcast withdrawals is what I'll call it, is if we don't do a podcast every so often. And I'm starting like, it's been a minute. So thank you for rescheduling me, Martin. I appreciate it. Taking my illness into account. But I am excited for these battles between teams.
No, I hear you. Before we do start, because this is a anime podcast, so Reminisce is already out by the time you guys listen to this. But over the week, on Thursday, Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball, he passed away.
Mhm.
And then it obviously came out that he died a week earlier, but the family wanted privacy for all that. So just wanted to say it on here and just reflect a little bit because obviously the whole world been mourning his passing, like world nation leaders have mourned his
Mhm.
passing and things like that. There's just a worldwide effect. And Andrew, I mean, if Akira Toriyama didn't make Dragon Ball or didn't exist, we probably aren't friends.
Honestly, it's a weird twist of fate, but yeah, truly. And I mean, beyond that, I don't know. I mean, I watched Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon around the same time, but
Mhm.
uh, Sailor Moon ended early in my childhood. Like it stopped streaming and all that stuff. But then Dragon Ball Z came out, and then Dragon Ball Z Kai came out, and then what was it?
Mhm.
Dragon Ball, was it GT?
GT and then now currently like Super.
Yeah, so it GT was the last one that I saw on television because I honestly don't keep up with Super at all.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it kept for me anime alive in my life enough that I I was aware of it and would turn back to it instead of it being like some people have a really strong memory and connection to like Dragon Ball and
Hmm.
Pokemon,
Yep.
but that's where it stayed and that's where it stopped. So, I mean, the continual content and, presence in our media, because even during the lull of time that I didn't really watch anime is when the live action came out, and I did purchase tickets to go and watch it. Unfortunately, it was not a good adaptation, as we're all aware. Or if you're not aware of that, please uh, spare yourself and stick to the animated content. But um, it's huge. It's huge. I actually didn't know until you mentioned it just now that he had died a week previous.
Hmm.
But the family, wanted to keep it to themselves for a little while, and that's a completely respectable position, especially seeing the the response worldwide, because it's not just Japan and we're living in the United States seeing like how it's affecting us. I've been seeing a lot of content with I didn't know how big Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z Goku was as a symbol to Mexico.
Oh
I didn't
yeah, he's big. They are big in Latin America.
Right. And I didn't know that. I didn't know, and I'm now learning that. And it's just giving me a whole new appreciation of the level of impact. Because to me, I guess I've stayed in my scope, my little blinders, a little too much of like, okay, it's Japan, the US, like Japan, the US, Japan. I didn't know. And now seeing, and people that I didn't previously know had any
Hmm.
connection to it have been posting things. And I'm like, oh, so like you were watching Dragon Ball the same time I was. We didn't talk about it, but we could have. And that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it, I don't know. It brings out that whole other sphere of like, this is another aspect of a friendship that we could have had or that we do have, and all of that stuff. And it's sad, especially knowing how young he was.
Yeah, and for people like to know like the scope of it and like all the people at that point in time, really suggest you go listen to the special tribute that a lot of people on the L7C podcast got on to do. Obviously, it was led by the Dragon Ball expert MHA, so he was on there. Cedric, Byron, Nikki, JJ, like a whole bunch of people were on the tribute that's already out. It's on YouTube, so check that out. And just like with the scope too of like with Latin America and also all that stuff, like when he died, the cartel did a ceasefire. Like, and then with the thing of what people listening to it, like, oh, this is a My Hero like podcast. What do you mean? Like, well, stuff like, how would you guys not be friends? You got to do it through the tree thing. The creator of My Hero Academia
Mm-hmm.
said one of his biggest influences was Kishimoto.
Mm-hmm.
Kishimoto, for people who don't know, if you've listened to our stuff, he's the creator of Naruto, one of the big three: Naruto, One Piece, Bleach.
Mm-hmm.
Kishimoto, when Toriyama died, all three of the big three authors, and there was so many more manga people, but the big three, they were all mourning because all of them said the same thing. If Toriyama doesn't exist, their mangas don't exist.
Right.
So they don't get influenced by it. So if Toriyama never makes Dragon Ball, Kishimoto never makes Naruto, which means if Naruto's never made, My Hero Academia is never made. And if My Hero Academia is never made, we're not sitting here. Again, we may not be friends.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you start breaking it down like that, and you're just like, and all the other anime that have like come out and said stuff like the new age stuff, like Black Clover, Spy Family, like everyone. So it's kind of
Everyone.
it's kind of weird to see how that one tree, that seedling, started because he said stuff too. Like, I mean, all the big three, they said Toriyama made it cool
Mm-hmm.
for kids and adults to like manga, just like Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball were like those mangas, anime where it's like, oh, you want Sailor Moon? You're cool. You want Dragon Ball? You're cool. They weren't seen as, oh, you're a nerd because you watch anime. Then obviously they started the boom and here we are. So for people who like really like anime and you may not like Dragon Ball, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of crazy. Like when you break it down, it's like, would your anime be here if Dragon Ball didn't exist?
Right. What a lot of the classic elements in a lot of anime exist
Mhm.
without him laying that foundation. And also just even for people that might be casually listening is like, oh, I only watch My Hero. The amount of references in American cartoons that are
Oh, yeah.
made to different animes, but especially Dragon Ball Z. So many. I think what there's a version, was it Billy and Mandy?
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm.
they had like a little tournament thing, and I think they go Super Saiyan at one point. There's a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of especially to that whole and the whole continual piece of like, oh, you think you beat me? Well, see my next form. Like
Hmm.
that's where all it basically all starts and stems from, or was put out in the general media to influence everyone else afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It,
it's a major loss to the anime community, but especially to obviously his family and close friends.
yeah. Then you also see from like, I don't want to say you feel like vindicated or validated because of this passing, but like for all the anime like fans out there, if you would have told us in elementary school that the passing of the creator of Dragon Ball Z would be the number one trending thing in the world all weekend, beating out the United States State of the Union, where the president is talking, and the whole world stops, and you have all these different, like the fact that world lead, you were like, no way. Like when you were in like elementary school, no way the world's gonna pay this much respect to someone who's writing a Japanese cartoon, and then
Right.
you see how much influence like this really has.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I know for me, part of it is also just like leaving behind that legacy. Like a lot
mhm.
of people think about like, what are you leaving behind? Or, it doesn't matter while I'm here. Going back to like you speaking about the tree, like obviously maybe not to a global scale, but having an impact on your neighbor's life, having a positive impact, it branches out and
Oh yeah.
it makes an impact. And that's the thing that's been touching me the most. I mean, all of the artwork
Hmm.
at the grave, the big three characters huddling around Goku while he's crying. Like,
I
oh,
know that Sailor Moon one got you.
it did. Oh, it absolutely did. Oh,
Yeah, because they could be like, we were in this together from the beginning, and
yeah.
your person was the first one to go. But no, it's crazy. So it's just, paying respects to that. But obviously, his branch, and now it's weird because obviously one of the favorite memes of like 2000, what, 12, when it has all those people, it has that one person saying, I like anime, and everyone is spread
Yes.
out like, oh, weird. But now 2024, I don't like anime,
Like
and everyone's
anime.
like,
And
oh, you're
yeah,
a fucking
it went
weirdo.
so fast, and he laid the groundwork for
Yeah.
that because I mean, when was the height? Early 2000s? Because I specifically remember not really telling other people that I watched Dragon Ball Z because that was the reaction would be like, "Oh, you're weird," or I would
Early
like, "Oh, you're a
2000s.
girl. Why do you like that?" So,
Hmm.
but then here we are, 20 years later, total Uno reverse,
Yeah.
like,
Well,
and
so
it's
no,
great.
it is crazy, and I think too is like because 68 is not because he died of a blood clot in his brain. It's not that old, and it's like we're at the point too where it's like almost every year now, like a famous manga person is dying. Like this is the biggest one. There's like this
Right?
one, but then 2 years ago, Yu-Gi-Oh's creator Takahashi he died saving people's lives.
Yes, he
So
did.
it's like, and now we're in the big three. Big three, like who knows how much time Kishimoto has left for
Right.
Naruto or Oda for One Piece or Kubo for Bleach, and like just seeing all their stuff too is just like because their hero died and like reading their words is like, oh, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then so, but Kubo I think said it best the Bleach one because he took the longest because he didn't know what to write, and it was just like
Hmm.
the person he said the person's not dead as long as you remember the work and the work lives on. So I don't know, it's crazy because now we're at that stage because in a couple of years, we might be here talking about how Naruto affected our lives because he's dead, or how My Hero Academia affected our lives because he might. Like we're at that point now where our
Yeah,
people who created like our stuff are passing,
it's true.
which
And
is
yeah, and I mean, it just hits home. Especially, I remember when the Yu-Gi-Oh creator died, and it was like, again, it was a freak thing. It's not like he was an
mm-hmm,
older person. And I mean, it's true. Ordinary people die every day, and just because
mm-hmm,
you're a legend in your field, you've created this insanely impactful body of work and has helped inspire generations after you. You're not infallible. You're not going to live forever. And so,
mm-hmm.
yeah, it
That work that connected you to other people. Like I
yes.
know Mitch, he wrote a tribute. He's like that connected me to all this stuff. It's like hey, it helped me connect to my eventual wife. JJ talked about on the thing about that helped connect him to Milan, who Milan became the best man at his wedding. Like stuff like that, like those connections. Because then you're really just sitting here as like this one person's idea on a pen and paper spread all these different ideas from other people on pens and papers. And it's like, would I have the same close friends if this thing did not exist? Because if it doesn't exist, then we lose 90% of the animes we all talk about.
Right.
So then you're just sitting there like you're like, oh my gosh, this person basically decided my friend group.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And unfortunately with doing this, we're gonna have more tributes down the road and
Hopefully much further down the road.
hopefully. But he wouldn't want us to be sad talking about it like
Mhm.
that when we are going to do a tournament. The reason I also wanted to do this is because every year, well, 2 years when we did the Naruto March Madness one, Andrew's just never been able to do it.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately, life has hit her too on those days. So this will actually be her first women's tournament live.
Yay.
So we got the women of My Hero again. These are all people who are not full grown adults, full grown ranked heroes. These are all the kids.
Yep.
You got 9 teams. Sharing the screen with Andrea. Since there's 9 teams, we have to have a play-in. So we got Team 8 versus Team 9. These teams were all picked at random. Andrea, who is Team 8 and Team 9?
Team 8 is Tatami Nakagame
Mm-hmm.
and Nejire Hado.
Mm-hmm.
Team 9 is Habuko Mongoose with
Mm-hmm.
Himiko Toga.
Andrea, who do
Oh.
you have in this match? Because you already, and even if you
Uh,
look ahead, there's another heavy hitter on Team 6, but you already got 2 heavy hitters in this
I
matchup.
know. It's, oh my goodness. It's, oof. So honestly, I'll be totally honest.
Mm-hmm.
I did not find much information on Habuko Mongoose.
Mm-hmm.
However, I was like, oh, Himiko Toga's on the team. She's going to carry, no problem. And then I realized they were going up against Nejire Hado. Because
Mm-hmm.
Turtleneck, unfortunately, we haven't seen too much battling from. I do understand her quirk. But basically, to me, this matchup comes down to do I think Himiko Toga or Nejire, the one of the big three of
Mm-hmm.
the third years, would lose to Himiko Toga. And I feel like it would be hard fought. And Toga might be on her like last bit of blood from whoever she just took it from.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Toga can use the quirk of the person that she's transformed into,
Mm-hmm.
I think is a major edge that I don't know that Nejire can overcome if it comes down to just the two of them. Which, I mean, I think Toga would take out Turtleneck very quickly. And Habuko Mongoose will help with that. And yeah, I don't know. I think, oh my gosh, am I gonna put Nejire out so fast?
So before we decide, my only thing
Yeah,
with that, which I my only let's see who has Mongoose, Toga's team. But my thing with the Toga versus Nejire, Hado, Nigeria, is the styles make fights. My thing
true.
is that if it comes down to the two of them, how's she gonna hit Hado when she's in the air? She can't fly.
That's true.
That's my biggest thing. Because you're not
True.
gonna be able to get you're not gonna get her blood because she's in the air. And to our knowledge, because this is all based on the show, she has no one whose quirks they can fly. So Hado could keep the distance
She'd be
and
able to if she transformed into Uraraka, she could float.
yeah, but floating's not the same as flying
True.
because then you can if you're floating up and Hado just has to fly this way and you're getting those pulsars blasted at you like that was my biggest thing is like how are you gonna hit her if you can't fly? Because then
Ah,
if you can't draw blood from her, you don't get her powers. So she can just
yeah.
blast you from a distance, and then you're just on the defensive because your person can't help you in that because she'll be knocked out cold.
But the only thing is, I think, if Nejire is able to be distracted, depending on how high up she is, Toga might be able to throw those needles. Because remember, her whole machine that extracts the blood, it's attached to needles on tubes. So she does have to be able to make contact, but it's not completely impossible for her. My other thing is, do we know if she only ever carries one knife? Because
Not to our thing.
yeah, because I was like, well, I've never seen her throw a knife. She's only ever snuck up and used it. So no, no, I think you're right.
And like you said too, like I think you're gonna need more than one person. Like, because this is someone, if you want to talk about like a durability thing, she took a slash from Dobby, whose firepower is higher than Endeavor's,
Yeah.
and still kept going. And like you said, she's in the big three. That means she's the third. She's well, because Muriel's the strongest. She's the third strongest person in UA.
Well, technically, we don't know if she's stronger than Tamaki or not, but
Technically. So she's either second or third.
right.
And like already in the big three, because this big three, some of them already rival pro
Pro
heroes.
heroes, yeah.
Because if you're number one, Mirio was, this is coming from their Kakashi from Eraserhead saying that he could be number one right now. And if you're second or third behind him, then where the hell would you be in the hero rankings?
Right.
Because we saw Toga. It's like one of those things too. Do you think she's weaker than Uraraka or Froppy right now? Because Uraraka still got with Toga and when they fought.
Yeah, but Uraraka did lose
He
technically
did
both
lose.
times. Um, and I definitely agree that obviously Nejire is stronger than the both of them. I just
If you gave Toga a better teammate, I would go Toga, but it's kind of funny
that's
how the
true.
random thing gave them both probably the
Couple of the
weakest.
weaker ones, honestly, yeah. Yeah. Or not as flashy of quirks, I guess, not as combat
Yeah.
effect.
But then again, this is all the women that we've seen in the
As
show
students so far,
as
right. Right,
students.
right.
There's no pro heroes. So what are you thinking?
Oh,
Because whoever wins this goes to fight Team Six, and Team Six has Uraraka.
yeah. Yeah, and Jiro.
Yeah, she
Yep.
has someone she's worked with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to default to teammate for the same reasons that you stated.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which also still is like Himiko Toga is gonna be out that quickly, but then that also goes to show, you know, having teammates can balance you out or kind of weigh things not in your favor depending on the matchups.
Yeah, because I mean, even though she wasn't shown that much, I mean, she was in the main fight and she was holding off near
Yep,
high end Nomus while still hurt.
true.
So, like, I mean, she is about that life, and we've seen her in this. We saw her in the like, she is about that. But that's see now you're making me think if her or her little alternate Sasuke. I wonder who actually is stronger. Like that's a debate.
Right?
That's a real debate because I don't know.
I mean nobody ever says. And part of that whole thing of like, okay, Mirio, if he was, a pro hero right now, he could be number one.
Hmm.
Tamaki is very strong as well, but then and if Nejire is the number two behind, it's like, okay, how far is that drop off compared
Yeah,
to the top 10? Like how big is that gap between number one and two? And then therefore is the gap if like, smaller between two and three, or is it just like the same size gap because they just have whatever? But I uh I wonder because honestly, the both of them have such flexible quirks
hmm,
that it'd probably be very, very, very difficult to have them placed at two or three. And they might just take it like, okay, yeah, Mirio's number one, but they're each well, Tamaki wouldn't say he's number two over her because he's too modest and shy for that. But they probably might be on par with each other and be a tie for second. They could be. I don't know for sure, but that'd be really interesting.
it'd be crazy. I mean, stats wise, I mean, it's something like Nigeria's stats are all to the. I don't know. I like how they put the stuff like offbeat attitude. Six
Yeah, no,
six.
they always add like a sixth category that's like very tailored to the character to make them like super strong in something. I was looking at whose was it? I think it was
Hmm.
UI, Kodai, the
Hmm.
one that I think dresses kind of like a Pokemon gym
Yes.
leader. That hers was like positive attitude or something like that, 6 out of 6. It was like so that last stat is almost always a throwaway. Not a throwaway. I don't mean to say it mean like that, but is tailored to the character so they have a descriptor for like either their attitude or like their quirkiness, uh, or quirky piece of their personality.
You know, so I don't know, just yeah, it's that not being able to fly.
For Toga, because thinking
Yeah,
about it, Tamaki, depending on what he eats, he might be able to fly. That's why I'm
that's
like,
true
wait,
too. So he might be in the air with Nejire if they ever fought 1-on-1.
right?
There's a
He could.
question for another day.
Yep. All
Who's
right. Put a
who's
pin
this
in that one. All right.
who's the second strongest in the big three?
Whew, okay.
So all right, so we have them going against Team Six, and we basically with Team Six. I mean, you got Uraraka, Jiro. You, it's kind of interesting because I'm trying to think if there's a young comparison. There's really not like a. You almost got like the master pupil versus the next person up with
Right.
Uraraka and Nejire because like well, they were all. She joined like this internship. She was in the raid with her. Like Jerry's the strongest woman in UA
Right.
right now.
Right.
Or when she graduates, it's probably
Probably.
Uraraka.
Right.
Like this is like a generational
Matchup.
type matchup. So it's like with this case, is Jiro enough to support Uraraka to take Nejire down? That's
Oh,
where it's at.
that is where it's at. And I want to say yes because I feel like Jiro as a support
Hmm. That's her
hero
best roles.
character, that's where she does her best. And I mean, I don't think that combo has any trouble with Nakagame.
No, she's cooked.
Right. So getting her off the board or even Jiro just handling her until she's available to help out Uraraka.
Hmm.
I think because of that, Team Six could edge it out unless Nejire just really digs deep and it has a strategy enough to take them two on like 1-on-2.
Yeah, you can make the case that Nejire and Toga are the two strongest women in here, and they both got the two worst support.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's really bad because I mean, her teammate Nejire, like your quirk is you can retract your limbs and like a turtle, like that's your quirk. Like that's what
Right.
we're doing. Like that's obviously this is Barrel because it's going from other schools, but
We needed enough people to make it more interesting, but
yes.
again, this also just goes to the point of like if you're stuck with a teammate that doesn't really compliment you and you're in a situation where you need to be complimented, especially if they're more so like the weaker of the two, it can really be detrimental. So it's always important for the heroes in general to be strong at what they have and know how they can help the situation. I'm sure Turtleneck might have other things up her sleeve that she's trained on. Like Uraraka has like gunhead martial arts.
Hmm.
Like if you only look at her quirk, you wouldn't know that. So
Right.
it could be that we don't know enough information about Turtleneck or Mongoose. So I will put that asterisk out there that it could be that I am undervaluing their skills. But from what I saw in their stats, even or Nakagame's stats, was that she was very average.
So
So
I think the thing with this one is they gotta get Hado to the ground, like because then if she's on the ground, Jiro can use her attacks because her attacks go through the ground. Like so, if you do
but
a
with her amps, she should be able to angle her ankles upwards. So it's more a direction that she would need to stay in one place. That Jiro could send those sound waves up. And with Uraraka's little wrist cables, she gets one of those on Nejire, she can pull her down.
yeah,
So
because from looking at like her ultimate moves, sounds amplified that cancels out sound based attacks, most like kind of shockwave, vibrations. But I feel like to be most effective, they got to get on the ground. Like you said, like the amplifier jack was like, is she gonna have a time to use that amplifier jack before Hado just blows it up?
true.
So that's why I'm just like, if they blow that up, if you do a strategy, that Uraraka could touch Nejire, get her to the ground so that you both can do your ground moves. I think that's the
That's the
only way
move.
to win, and I think that's how they would win. And again, it's almost like what they did with the teacher things. Obviously, Deku and Bakugo are not stronger than All Might, but they were able to
No,
devise a plan to get across the thing. I don't
right,
think Uraraka is stronger than Nejire yet. She's probably going
right,
to be when this is all said and done, and Jiro is nowhere near stronger than Nejire. But
right,
I think if they worked as a team, they would have because it would be two against one most of the fight. There's then a
right.
point she might get tired. Like the last fight, the two weak people cancel each other out. It's 1-on-1. But this one, and I love Nejire, but I think because of the combination and the two, Nejire and the other girl, they don't know each other. They've never worked together.
Right.
At least Uraraka and Jiro, I mean, they might. Are they the only team that's really worked? They are a team that they're in the same class. They've worked together. They know their strengths,
Yep.
weaknesses.
Yep.
I think Team Six would go to the semis.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. Well, I need to politely ask for a break,
Yeah, go ahead.
and
And
I will
then
be
when
right
she
back.
comes back, we got Team Five versus Team Two.
All right. Thank you for that. So team five versus team two.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Team five is Camie
This is
and
an
Mina.
interesting team.
It is a very interesting team. I think the two of them would rather go out shopping and have a little girls' day than be on a team fighting. But honestly, I think they'd get along pretty well, so that's
Mhm.
always good. And then team two, are classmates. We have Pokemon trainer,
Mm-hmm.
Yui Kodai, and then Miss Priestess, Ibara Shiozaki.
Mm-hmm.
So, Martin, I'll let you go first this time. Who do you think is going to take this matchup?
It's really hard. It's really hard thinking now, hindsight, because we're about to be in season 7,
Right.
that Mina's gonna win a fight. Like it's
I
hard.
know,
It's
man.
hard because
They did her so dirty. I will never get over that. That was just so uncalled for.
like it's just I just don't know. Like the way she lost, and you got a heavy hitter here because you do got little Miss
Fine.
Vine over here,
Yep.
and Vine's a heavy hitter. But my thing is with her vines
Hmm.
and Mina's acid. Is Mina's acid strong enough to burn Vine's vines?
I would think so. I would personally assume so. However, I get tripped up because Kodai or Miss
Hmm.
Pokemon Trainer, she makes inanimate objects larger or smaller. So
Yeah.
my question is actually if her quirk works on those vines, because her
Hmm.
vines are her hair, and hair traditionally is just a dead protein. So it should count as an inanimate object. So if she makes those vines bigger, is Mina's acid enough to get through it?
Yeah, and Kodai, she is not a fighter. Like she is almost who were we just talking about with Jiro? She's almost like a Jiro that she is pure support type. And even
Mm-hmm.
Kodai was in the fight. We have film of this. Like we have tape. She was in the fight against
Yep.
Midoriya's team, and
Yep.
Mina's acid wasn't burning the stuff that Kodai was throwing, and
That's true.
that was just normal stuff. So it's like, and those vines are strong.
They
She's
are.
strong, but that's where I'm at right now. Like, and then Camie,
To me, my thing for her is she's also a pairing type is part of
mhm,
what I'm thinking in my brain is in my head, the only like plausible strategy here is probably it depends on the capability of her visual and auditory hallucinations. Is she able to create multiple copies of herself and Mina? Is she able to cover a space large enough that would confuse team two and give them a slight advantage for the real Mina with the real acid to come up out of nowhere? Or do her hallucinations only, match personally, they can't recreate, Mina using her acid or anything like that. So there's a lot of question marks around this, but realistically,
And the illusions are only for a short time. It
right,
could be a minute, 2 minutes. Is that going to be enough to beat this
right.
team?
I don't know. I really don't think so. And honestly, I feel like if it was the two of them versus just Vines, they
Hmm.
might be able to pick up on her whole like uh personality thing
Hmm.
and might be able to create some sort of illusionary scenario that would make her drop her guard, essentially like what happened during those team A versus team class 1A versus class 1B matchups, because she was like, how, what trickery is this and all this other stuff, and then she ends up getting caught. So like she's not infallible, but it would take a lot of planning, and I know Mina's not a strategist. We know Mina's not
No,
a strategist.
no, no.
Is Camie a strategist? I think she could be, but they would need enough time. She specifically would need enough time to realize that and put it into play. So I think Team Two is taking it.
Yeah, I think team two as well. So then in the semifinals, there we'll have 6 versus 2. Let's go down to 7 versus 4. And Andrew, when you read 7, I think 7 might be the strongest team in this thing.
I freaking know. And I am salty about it because Team Seven is one of my favorite people with one of my least favorite people. But damn, is that girl strong? Okay. So Team Seven is Tsuyu Asui, Little Froppy,
Hmm.
and Kinoko Komori. Mushroom Girl,
Oh
which if
yeah.
you heard any of my previous podcasts talking about her, I don't like, not a fan. She did not need to pull the "I'm gonna choke you to death" card in a training exercise. I'm sorry. No, no, I'm sorry, no. But because of that, Ace in the Hole, what do they do? What do their opponents do? Not
Hmm.
everybody can just produce, gas mask and disinfect it. So, oh gosh. And who are they fighting? Team Four.
Your girl.
Speaking of making disinfected and masks. Okay, so we got Momo and Reiko Yanagi. So
Hmm.
her hero name, I believe, is Emily. Her quirk is Poltergeist, so she's the one that makes things float
Yeah,
and can
with
fly around.
telekinesis. Yep.
Yes, yes. Ah, damn.
Well, I mean, Froppy is stronger than Momo,
True,
so that's one thing. And Mushroom Girl is stronger than the other girl.
true.
But now,
But
now you got to do it as a team.
right,
So if you split them off 1-on-1 in those matchups, they're gonna.
yeah.
But now as a team, like where you, Momo, I would say is probably the
But I
smartest.
wonder,
She's the smartest
Momo's
person.
definitely the smartest. I was just wondering if Momo goes against Komori 1-on-1. Now that they've already had that matchup, Momo knows to mask up ahead of time. So what has Mushroom Girl got if she doesn't have the choke out ace in the hole?
That's true. And what if she? But then again, what if that's just? I mean, that's the choke. And what if she's just? And that's her not trying to. That's just to choke you out. They weren't trying to kill. I mean, if they're trying to kill in this, what if she doesn't even give you a chance?
True.
And I just think that team of like, if you could get real dangerous with Froppy, because she can like you can get
Yep.
if she's able to bring Mushroom Girl to your face and she could just
Yep.
spray all that stuff, like Froppy, she's I mean. Because she's probably the second. Like if Froppy is stronger than Momo, Momo's stronger than Froppy, but Froppy's probably the second smartest person there. Like
Right.
she again, a little side rant. Froppy doesn't get the respect she deserves. She's
He
up there,
doesn't.
and these women,
Absolutely doesn't.
and it's like she's up there. Like it's not just the Uraraka. I mean, there's a reason she's still. It's Froppy and Uraraka against Toga. Like she's still in there. So,
Right.
but I just couldn't believe that team got paired together. Like this is crazy.
Right. Ooh.
But then again, I like the teammate that Momo has because if Momo's making
A bunch of stuff.
what's the
Emily can
stuff,
make everything fly. Like
but how strong is because you know there's gas masks, but they some of them can't contain like
spores,
oh
like to
me-
get down to that level, right?
mm-hmm.
It's uh
Like I do think
yeah.
Froppy's team, like Team Seven, like that
I
is
think they have to. Yeah, no, and I mean they got the, the golden Naruto team number, so
like they're good. I mean, they're good.
just too good, GG's.
Yeah. So Team Seven there. So we got six advancing. They got two. We got seven. Team Three
All
versus
right.
Team One.
And team 3 is your girl, Kendo,
I do like Kendo. I do like Kendo. She's become
and
a background
Toru
character, but whatever.
Agakure. So we got Big Hands and Invisible Girl against
Interesting
Team 1,
combination.
Setsuna Togake
Hmm.
and Pony. So also teammates from Class 1B. So Setsuna is the one who can split her body parts into pieces like a lizard and call them back to her. And then Pony, yeah, we saw Pony do what she needed to do for that tie.
I mm, she's smart. Horn cannon. You know, it's crazy. If Pony was on Toga's team, I would have picked
That would be
Toga's
the
team to
perfect
be.
pairing. And
Yeah,
yeah, they would, yeah,
I don't think I don't think Kendo's team's gonna win. And I like Kendo. I
I know
just
you do.
Invisible Girl just doesn't do it.
And that's the thing. Excuse me, sorry about that. So, and that's the thing. Like, if they were in that situation where it's just like, oh, try to capture your enemies or detain them or whatever, she definitely, I mean, she's got the built in element of surprise.
Hmm.
There's nothing Pony or Setsuna can really do other than sending their, essentially extend. It's funny that the both of them deal with extensions of their body parts
Hmm.
um out, into the space to try to figure out where she is. But if it's coming down to hand, I mean, Invisible Girl can't do anything. Um, Pony's got attack power. She can fly. They both can fly.
Hmm.
So yeah, I unfortunately for Kendo, she's taking the L just like Momo did. Sorry, girl.
Yeah, and I think individually, I mean, you can make the case Kendo maybe the strongest person in actually one of the strongest persons definitely in class 1B, but she's definitely the most competent woman in that class in terms of like total package of
Well
fighting,
did. Yep.
fighting, intelligence, work, leadership. Um like she is the most complete
Yep.
fighter in class
Yep.
1B. You can make the case that she's the she might be the most complete, second most complete woman in UA. You can make that case. Like it has all the things.
Who would be the first, like for
Nejire,
all of you
Hado,
who would
Hado.
Nejire? Okay. I was wondering, I was like, were you gonna say Uraraka or Asui? Because I was like, ooh, where are we going
No,
with
Uraraka's
okay.
thing, like she had her moment. I mean, that's because her future husband was getting shunned. But like anyone, like she doesn't galvanize the troops. Like we literally saw
No.
Kendo like galvanize the troops.
Oh yeah.
Like she's a leader, she's smart, she's strong, she fights, all that stuff. And then she's self-aware
She is.
because she understand, like, she even said in that fight, she's like, oh, right now, I got you, Momo, but like, it's weird. It's with Momo, Kendo, who she maybe looks up to, rival, whatever. She looks up to Midnight. Both of them were like, Momo, we both see your potential. You have the ability to potentially be maybe one of the most complete female superheroes ever. Take the freaking next step.
Right.
Like they both, like Kendo's aware, like they run this back in a couple years, Momo might stomp her ass. But
Right. For right now,
yeah, right now.
where they're at, right.
So that's why I'm just like, man, she's actually like a complete, like she understands, like she doesn't have no like omega firepower, but like she understands and she leads, and her team will follow her to the depths of hell. Like she's a
Yep.
complete female fighter. Not she's a complete overall fighter, but in the women, she might be the second most complete character
Right.
because each of the other women are lacking
Something.
something. So unfortunately, their team goes down. Like if you would have put um Tendo with any of the other losing people, you put Tendo with Toga. I don't think any team beats them. Like you put them with
No.
some of these other
Uh,
people, it's like it's crazy. But in this case, Styles makes fights. Random team simulators make the thing. So
they
team
make it
one,
interesting. Yep.
team one would advance. So we got team six, Uraraka and Jiro, and we had team two. Who we got? Who we got? This is the semifinals.
This is the semifinals. Jiro Uraraka and Ibara versus Kodai.
And they got to be feeling good because they're like, we just took out one of the big three. Like,
Yeah,
we
they
took out one
did.
of them. We're feeling good. We can take on anybody.
And for that reason, I feel like they would take them on almost no problem.
Yeah.
Like I I feel bad saying almost no problem, but essentially at this stage, Kodai potentially becomes a hindrance to Ibara, whereas Uraraka and Jiro are they're definitely not on the same level, but they're closer in level than Ibara and Kodai.
Yep. I think team six goes to the finals. Team six goes to the finals.
And
Then
that's
you,
not on female lead plot armor, guys. Just FYI.
nah, it's just Sal's teams and it's tournament brackets, man. That's what it's all about.
It's crazy.
And then you got team seven, against team one. And I think team seven wins pretty
I
easily.
I do too.
So
Uh,
now you got three out of these four ladies in class 1A. You got team one, team set well,
Team
from that
seven. Yep.
side, the first half, you got Uraraka and Jiro's team
Yep.
versus Miss Mushroom and Froppy's team in the finals. Um,
Yeah.
well, this is really gonna come down. How much stronger do you think? This is actually a real debate too. How
It
much
is.
stronger do you think Uraraka is than Froppy?
And I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't think she's that far behind. I
I don't
really
either.
don't think Froppy is very far behind Uraraka. I feel like there are points in the show where there can be a very strong argument that Froppy is stronger than her.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I yeah, no, I don't think if we're going by terms of steps, to me, I feel like Froppy technically would be maybe a step and a half behind,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Like she's right there. And I mean, how are Jiro and Uraraka gonna deal with Komori? Not that Komori is the strongest out of everybody, but
No, no.
she's got shit that very few people can deal with. Like that's
Yeah, unless you
it's
could
almost
speed blitz
unfair.
her, unless you could speed blitz her and knock her out or blast all her stuff away like a Midoriya or like a Bakugo, like a Shoto, like you can
Right,
just take her out quick. Like it's tough because the longer you keep her in the fight, the more dangerous she gets. Because you might
right,
be touching something that has her mushroom like poison
right.
stuff.
Right, or she's hiding it in the shadows of all the other shit because they need damp and dark. Like, or at least that's what she said for the ones that she was spreading during that fight. She could have fungi different species that we haven't seen yet do far weirder shit that need bright sunlight and dry air, whatever the hell. Like, ooh, I do think
And
part
then
of the
Jiro,
drawbacks
poor
for all of them is
Jiro.
they know all of their quirks.
Yep.
So, I mean, technically, if they had the total element of surprise, Jiro probably, if they're just all four standing on a square platform, uh, tournament arc style, Jiro could probably real quick into her amps blast the both of them and rupture their eardrums or something. Take her out, make her pass out.
Mm-hmm.
But then same thing. They don't if they don't know that Jiro can surprise attack them that way, they have no idea that Komori can sprout out mushrooms that are going to make them basically not be able to breathe. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, oh, and in this sense, again, I feel like for the danger level, I feel like Asui and Komori are closer to even than Uraraka and Jiro. So I feel like it has to be Team Seven.
I mean, I agree. Like this team is a very dangerous team. Like on a random pair, very dangerous because it's like one of those things too. Like to be had like if they did pure shonen style and they both were like, all right, let's not fight as a team. Let's split up. You could have one of those things where it's like Froppy's like, I know we've been working as a team, but like I want to fight Uraraka by myself. This one means
Right,
more to
right.
me, and you go fight Jiro. And Mushroom Girl, she killed Jiro. Like,
Yeah,
so, and then you have Uraraka and Froppy, and even if Uraraka wins, that's going to be hard fought. She's not going to have enough energy to fight Mushroom Girl. So it's like,
right.
because of, again, if Uraraka and Froppy fight right now before season 7, if we put, like, if there was a poll, I don't know how many people would, and you take away that she's the main female protagonist of the show,
Right.
I
Right.
don't know who you say would win.
Right.
So
Completely agree.
I do think Froppy's team would win. Now, bonus thing, because we're talking about people eliminated, you think Froppy's team could beat Nejire and Toga if they were on a team?
Oh, damn.
I don't know if they. I think Toga's team
Oh.
would kill them. Toga and Nejire on the same team?
Oh, on the
Oh,
same team. Oh, okay. I thought you were splitting them up. I was like,
mm-mm.
wait, what?
Same team. Big three and big league of villains on the same squad. They probably beat a lot of pro heroes,
They would. They
and they
absolutely
would
would.
definitely beat a lot of the men's teams.
Himiko Toga beats pro heroes all the time.
Yeah,
Like, on
yeah.
her own. God.
It's
Yeah. Yikes. Okay.
that's
Yeah.
well, no, they're the champs in the first My Hero Academia Women's March Madness tournament. Shout out to Sue again. People sleep on her way too much, which I don't understand. Like you saw her team was the first team. Obviously, they had Shinsho, but their team was the first team to win in the
Right.
1A versus 1B, and
And it's
she.
not even like part of the whole reason they won is because of her. Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Shinsho, played a big role, but he also had a flub there, especially during that first match.
Yep.
So, like, yeah, no, Froppy's just I think because she's not the main female lead character,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only reason. But if she was the female lead character, I, I think people's brains would have exploded. Like that, she's just perfect. What what is there bad to say? Not even bad, just like a negative thing to say about her for people not to like. There's literally nothing. People say she's cute. They think she's definitely smart. She's strategic. She's self-aware. She's helpful. And I mean, she's not afraid to keep it real because I mean, the only time she went against her teammates was when Midoriya and all of them snuck off to go save Bakugo, and she was like,
Mm-hmm.
really, she's like, I know why you guys did it, but like, I don't agree with that, and that's major strength going against your friends. Hashtag Harry Potter reference, but like, yeah, I sometimes I do wonder why the decision was made not for it to be Sue. But then also from a storytelling standpoint, you want your main characters to have something to strive towards or improve on. Because if they're already completely perfect, they're hard to relate to and there's not much room for growth. So, love you, Sue. We adore you.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like she is even looking to like she's good. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. She just does not get the respect. Because she was, I'm trying to look too where she was in the midterm things with, their intelligence or
Oh,
whatever.
right,
But
right, right. From taking all the tests and stuff. I do think she tested within the top, what, probably 6 or 7.
yeah, in the midterms of Class 1A, she was 6.
Boom.
Like,
Yep.
and then just for people to, when this thing allows me to look, because I want to let people know. Midterm rankings. Yeah, because remember, she was 6, and I want to tell you the 5 people
Ahead of her.
ahead of her. Number 1, book smart, smartest person there, Momo.
Yep.
Number 2, Ida.
Yep.
3, 4, and 5. The 3 main characters, Bakugo, Midoriya, Shoto.
Yep.
They're the only people who scored above her in the midterms.
Yep.
Like
And where is Uraraka on there out of curiosity?
she
Was she
was
number 8?
she was lower. She was 13th.
Oh. Ooh, she needs to crack those books harder then.
Like I know they made fun of it because it's like it sucks when the pervert is actually smart. Mineta was 9
Yeah, I remember that.
because then like and then
Uh,
yeah, because I remember they all had to go to the lower tier people had to go to Momo's house and they're like, "You live like this?" But no, Andrea. This concludes the tournament. Next month is the season 7 preview.
I'm so ready to binge watch My Hero to give a good recap for next month and also for next month to be the month before we get more My Hero. Oh my goodness. And they confirmed it would run for how many weeks? 20?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. So that's a solid 4, at least over 4 months, 5 months,
Um.
4 weeks in a month. So that's 4 episodes a month.
Yeah.
Times 5 is 20, yeah. So
Are
May to what is
Are
that?
you ready
October.
for the ratings war? The
That
reason
I'm
I'm
not ready for. That I'm
that
really not ready for because My Hero is coming out at the same time as the new Demon Slayer season.
yeah,
However, that season of Demon Slayer won't necessarily be competing with My Hero for as long because we know that the Demon Slayer, especially the more recent seasons, don't have as many episodes.
no, but still, for people like you don't know, Demon Slayer confirmed that they're coming out literally the week after, the
Yep.
Saturday after. So
Yep.
once you get, so the premiere of Demon Slayer, you're gonna have the second season of My Hero. So that means every Saturday for as long as Demon Slayer does, well, let's say maybe 2 months or something, 12 episodes, maybe 2, 3 months. You're
Yep.
gonna have a new episode of Demon Slayer and My Hero every Saturday in the summer.
Uh, what a time to be alive.
And there
Oh,
could be other things coming too. Those are just the 2 biggest ones right now
I
announced.
heard something else was dropping
It
in
could.
May, and I don't remember what it was. I might be misremembering, but there was something else that Blue Lock.
Yeah.
Blue Lock, yes. I was
Eventually.
like, oh my God. Not I don't believe it's Saturdays, but still, like just the more anime that I am currently invested in dropping all at the same time. The last time this happened, I actually had to put one on the shelf because I could not emotionally handle watching Demon Slayer and the Attack on Titan season the same night. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Had to put pause on Attack on Titan because like, whew, whew. Damn.
Summertime Saturdays. You'll have any anime fan will have something to look forward to. And again, there could be a lot more coming saying, you know what? We're gonna start the third week of May, and
May.
then you have all things. We might start the first week of June. Like it's
Ugh.
I didn't think they would go back. I didn't think they'd go at it like that. I really didn't, but they're gonna go at it. And I mean, and remember Japan, they see these things live, like live on TV, so they are gonna have a ratings war.
Right.
So
Right. Do we are there time slots? Their time slots obviously have to be different unless they're
oh, they absolutely have to. But
or are they on different channels? Because like that's the whole to me when with a ratings war specifically, to me it's like, do you watch uh Teen Titans on Cartoon Network at 4 o'clock, or do you watch I don't remember what was on at the time. We'll say Cat Dog on Nickelodeon. Like those, like then you're competing for the same viewer versus if you know on Toonami you were watching Naruto at 7 and then Inuyasha at 8. So it's like you can capture the same person viewing both episodes if it's on the
that's
same
true.
channel.
So like in the traditional sense, that would be a ratings war. But I think in this one it'll be like, all right, at the end of the day, on this Saturday, who watched more stuff during the premiere?
True.
Like who's watching more live? How much, especially in our age now, how much social interaction is our show getting compared? Because
Yeah.
all that stuff gets
Count.
qualified and all
Right.
that stuff. So it's
Right.
like, whose show is more popular right now? Whose
Also,
show?
who's gonna overtake X? Who's gonna
Yeah.
overtake like what? Ooh, I also wonder. Hope. Well, my guesstimation would be that since obviously the Demon Slayer arc is shorter,
hmm
there's they should hit the peak of their season should at an earlier time than when My Hero's peak really goes. But with the pacing that was last set by season 6, that they only have 3 days until Shigaraki's done, My Hero might come out the gate swinging. So you might have like all like no holds barred immediately, so that it's yeah, then it really again going back to the whole Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer thing where it was they were hitting peak moments at the same time. And for me, truly, I couldn't keep going for AOT. I couldn't do it. I had to make a choice.
Yeah, and with AOT too, obviously, like that was going into the final season, and Demon Slayer was coming off of Mugen Train, and Demon Slayer, I mean, season 2 is their most successful season. So like season 3, like the Entertainment District, like the intro music, everything was fantastic. Season 3 was good, but it wasn't season 2. My Hero
No,
Academia is coming off their most successful season ever.
right.
So like the flame, like people are gonna be hyped to. So it's like hyped to watch. It's like, all right, season 6 was awesome. All this stuff. How are we building on this? We got 3 days till this. We got this. Like, what are we doing? So it's gonna be interesting. And there's gonna be other anime who are gonna throw their names in the hat too that are gonna throw wrinkles when we like see these anime like lists. So like, oh, here's the top 10 most watched this week, and who are the top 10 male characters of the week? Like, it's a
Right.
good time to be alive, be an anime fan.
Yes.
But yeah, we are previewing season 7 next month, and then full steam ahead. And with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. Make sure you like, rate, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to, and we'll be back. Take care. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.